Welcome to Syntax. Today we're going to be talking about AI tools that you should know. And these AI tools are all kinds of different things, whether that is stuff to help you in your day-to-day or possibly even some coding stuff, but just really possibly little tools and tips and stuff that you might not have seen or tried yet. My name is Scott Delinsky. I'm a developer from Denver. And with me, as always, is Wes Boss. What's up, Wes?
When you're doing the intro, I was just trying to adjust my seat. There we go. It was going too far back. I hit the wrong knob and I went all the way down. Should do a whole episode like this where I'm just at the bottom. Yeah, excited to talk about the different AI tools that we're using right now. I think like the one thing that I know, let me get up here. The one thing that I keep telling myself is like, don't get comfortable in the tools that you're using. Because even with Claude Code, like I kind of brushed it off for a couple months. I was like, I'm happy with Cursor. But like after talking to how many people are using this type of thing, I'm like, I gotta like keep a bit of an open mind with these things.
I'm missing something.
Give them all a good shake before being like, that doesn't seem that useful.
Yeah, give it a good shake. Yeah, cool. Well, are you ready to get go? Actually, before we do that, if you're giving anything new a new shake at all, whether that's a new coding language, new anything, or even you have an app that is starting to gain traction or anything like that, you'll want to be using Sentry at Sentry.io. It is just a wonderful tool for solving your problems. We all got problems. I got problems. Wes got problems. I don't know if Wes has any problems, honestly.
I got plenty of problems.
Okay. Well, we all got problems then. And Sentry is the perfect place to solve those problems because, let's face it, there's too many other problems to deal with to have problems in your code base. And Sentry gives you tools to solve those problems. They give you tools to have visibility into those problems, whether that is a slow application or a buggy application, or even just being able to truly understand what your users are doing and how and why. So check it out at sentry.io/syntax. Sign up and get 2 months for free using the coupon code TASTYTREAT. And guess what? Sentry is like, Sentry's always just been a tool that's evolving, but man, they're going through some awesome stuff with new UIs, new tools, new features, and the product just rules, man. It's just one of these things that they're not resting on the fact that they have a good product. They're consistently turning it into
the new UI is
better and
awesome,
better product.
Man. Is that out for everybody now? Like, I know that you can turn it on, but I think that's the default now.
I'm not sure. If you want to give the new UI a try, the little question mark help thing, and then there's a switch to new navigation, I think is the way it's listed.
That's very good. It's amazing that they can simplify the UI or the menu so much, but you still get all of the same amount of information and all the information you need, which is probably most important, right?
Yeah, give me the information I need. Make it easy. And Sentry absolutely does that. All right. We can stop talking about Sentry now. We love Sentry, folks. Sentry actually has some really cool AI tools. We should do an episode on that at some point. The first one I want to talk about is one that I wasn't even aware of until JS Nation this past little bit ago. JS Nation React Summit just happened. I was emceeing. Many of you may have seen me up on the stage introducing, Q&Aing a lot of like really amazing speakers. A lot of cool people were there. Huge crowd. And man, what a great run conference. They always are. Either way, Tejas Kumar did a talk on LangFlow and langflow.org. And I was just besides he's an incredible speaker. So like he could be talking about something I'm not interested in, and it's still going to be captivating. But this tool really did catch my eye as being a really interesting tool. And what it does, in even just reading their tagline, It's a powerful tool to build and deploy AI agents and MCP servers, and it comes batteries included and supports all major LLMs, vector databases, and a growing library of AI tools. This thing is a node-based editor. So if you've used any other node-based editors, Comfy UI is a node-based editor, DaVinci Fusion, node-based editor, Max MSP. Basically, you have boxes and you're connecting like patch cables to the boxes to do things, right?
You got boxes, you got inputs, you got outputs, you got little things that come in and out. You connect them to each other.
Yes. And so you might have an input that is a chat input, and you might have an output that is a chat output, right? And you put an AI model in between there, you got a little chat window, right? An AI chat window. But the demo that he did, I thought was really, really interesting because he did a demo that was live on stage where he was connecting a box to essentially browse the page of the schedule for JS Nation. Because this whole point was about, these interfaces, website interfaces are also varied and wild that it might not be easy for you to get the information you need. So either way, he connects an input, chat input, he connects it to the website, he connects it to an agent, and then he connects it to, I believe, an MCP server to integrate with the Google Calendar. And he was able to say things like, what time is Shrudi's talk at? And then it would just tell him, Shrudi's talk is here, right? And then add that talk to my calendar. Right? Contextual, blah, blah, blah. And you could build these little widgets and little tools with your own API keys in seconds just by connecting these things. And if you look at their tools that they connect with, it is just a massive amount of stuff, whether that is, Supabase or Slack or, even Upstash or Perplexity. There's a lot of little things that you can connect here and there. And we had been talking in the last episode we recorded about where is like the if this then that kind of these things. And this would be not necessarily an if this then that, but it does give you a lot of tools to connect many different services on your own via a nice little UI in a way that you could really see that as being like a power user type of thing where like, I really want to do this, then this, and this, and connect it together. And instead of maybe writing the code or going into a chat window and cursor and having the MCP servers connect, you can build like reusable workflows and things like that. And I found that to be just simply lovely. So LangFlow is my first one, and I thought this was great. I believe it's open source, so you can check it out on GitHub. Very cool stuff.
What's the idea? There's a company behind this? Because I went to download it. I tried to check this out a while ago, and it makes you put in an email address, and I immediately was like, oh, this is some corporo BS. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's by DataStax. DataStax has their own AI agents, production AI agents. They have their own product and pricing. Yeah, so this is just the tool itself that you can download and use on your own.
Oh, so there's not a subscription fee here because you're simply just connecting things that you can connect anything, right? You can put your own API keys in. You can probably,
it's all your own,
assuming have local models.
All your own API keys, yeah. Oh,
okay, cool. And it's a Python app that you download as a desktop app.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm a node-based UI kind of guy. So for me to have a node-based UI for doing this type of thing seems like a really nice thing. So yeah, give LangFlow a check. Cool. I think this was pretty neat.
Next one I have is I was working with John Lindquist, who is really into a lot of this AI stuff. He's obviously the guy that started Egghead. And we recorded a little episode of how he uses his computer, and he's next level in thinking on how to use all of these things. And one of the tools that he was using that I had written off for a while, which was an app called Super Whisper. And there's another one called Whisper Flow, which Kenzie Dodge is using. So I'm going to give them both a good shake. But the idea with both of these is they are desktop applications that do voice to text. And I had written off these things for the longest time because macOS has voice to text built in. I hit my control key twice and I can dictate what it is I want. And I think if you are not using voice to text and you're just typing like a barbarian, I highly recommend hooking up one of these tools to a hotkey on your keyboard so that when you want to type something, you just hit the microphone key or whatever, and you just speak what it is you want. Now, these tools, Super Whisper and Whisper Flow, they use Whisper, which is a open source model for doing speech to text. But what they do is they are better. Like what I just did right there. I said, but what they do, they you know how I like kind of stuttered there? Mac OS would just literally take every single word that I have and put it in there, and I have to then take it out. These apps are better at, see, I just did it right there. I said these apps, that's just how naturally we talk. And
they're more better. Would it correct you if you said more better?
At dictating it. And then, of course, they have a whole bunch of features where you can add in words that you say a lot. And that's huge for people like you and I, where we're always saying these random made-up coding words.
Sentry.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest problem, is getting them to recognize the word sentry as not CENTURY. And I specifically was trying Super Whisper first, A, because it's Canadian, and B, because that's the one that John Lindquist was using. But you can also download additional models. You can use the one in the cloud. You can stream it to the cloud, or you can download local models and run it on your machine if you have a fast enough computer. The one thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't do like real-time streaming of the text, which Mac OS does. I really like that. As you're talking, you can see what you're saying in real time. This one, you have to like say it and then stop, and then it generates the actual text for you. I assume that will probably come because I've used Whisper before, and you can stream the output as you're talking. You don't have to wait for it to be finished.
Yeah. Do any of these work on iOS as well? I don't know how you would integrate that with iOS, considering the text-to-speech is so baked into the OS.
Whisper Flow says it has an iOS app.
Okay.
So I would assume it's just a custom keyboard, right?
Yeah.
But switching keyboards sucks on iOS.
Sucks.
It's so slow.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's... But the one on iOS is actually pretty good, especially that as you're talking, you can just like stop talking, and then you can type stuff, move your cursor around, and then continue talking. Like it's not like you're in dictation mode or out of it. It's kind of fluid. So I'm a big fan of the Mac OS one, but these apps will probably get Sherlocked at some point via Mac OS just implementing this same
I don't
thing.
know.
But
iOS has never fixed their keyboard. And their text to speech has always been kind of dog shit, even if you can type in the middle of it. But I do use it kind of nonstop. I just wish there were some of these nicer features, like correcting certain words, or I don't know. Yeah. This looks nice. I do use a lot of text to speech, or speech to text.
Speech to text, yeah. So I'm gonna give these a good shake over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, shake them
instead of using the built-in Mac OS one. And I'll try the iOS app and see how that fits into my flow.
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised that Raycast hasn't done this yet. That seems like ripe for Raycast adding this feature.
Yeah. Raycast is probably going to be needing to work on some new features after this macOS announcement recently.
Oh, yeah, because macOS announced like Raycast-ish features.
Yeah, they're just like enhancing. Yeah, definitely Raycast-ish.
And you can use a shortcuts app in them. The shortcuts app in macOS and on iPhone is actually really powerful, and I don't see a lot of people use it. So I wonder if it's just I don't have any. I highly doubt Apple will. The thing about like Raycast is it's like power users, developers first, and like I highly doubt Apple's going to put out something where you're like, there's going to be these little edge case bugs that they'll never fix.
Yes, that they'll never.
Just be so frustrating.
Years later.
I don't feel scared for Raycast. I am excited that macOS is putting that in though, because like it's just everyone who uses a computer should have that kind of productivity.
Yeah, I agree. Although I will tell you what, getting Courtney to use Spotlight to open anything is like, because she'll just like go into her dock and click on it or whatever. I'll be like, you can do Command Spacebar and just type in what you want, and just like, okay, thank you. Yeah.
That drives me nuts. Yeah, that's when I was teaching like a boot camp. It was really nice because I could just show people how I worked.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would be like, I want to do that. I see
You're a wizard.
that is much faster, rather than telling people how to do it. Because they're just like, I can't be bothered.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Next one here is something that maybe people have heard of, or maybe they haven't, or maybe they're very bitter about this. Because let me tell you, we just released our browser episode about the state of web browsers. And I gotta say, man, people are really, really intense about their browser choices. I mean, I feel like we knew that, but like people are either really angry or they're very like, your browser sucks or whatever. But one very common thread was that a lot of people were very angry at the browser company for sunsetting Arc. And I get it. I liked Arc.
Yeah, rightly so.
Yeah, Arc was my favorite browser. Here's actually two camps. People were like, Arc has always sucked. And you were bad for liking Arc. Or two, I loved Arc and I will never trust the browser company again. I understand both those. But I will say this tool, since I got access to the beta, which says DIA, DIA browser, so diabrowser.com. It's an early access for Arc members. So if you've used Arc in the past, you can just download it and give it a rip. I think this thing is the start of what we're going to be seeing from browsers in the future here coming forward, because this in many ways is like Cursor in your browser. You can reference tabs directly. There's a kind of constant chat window about any of the tabs you have open. You can ask it questions about a YouTube video even. So if you have a YouTube video open, you can ask questions directly about the YouTube video itself. You can compare several tabs at once. Like you can reference tabs. So like if let's say you had several different hotel options, you could add and reference those various tabs of those various hotel options and ask it questions. I think that is like really pretty neat. And in practice, when you Command T to open a new tab, the search window that you get is either a search window or a chat window, as in it can be both of them at the same time. So by default, when you go to open a new tab, you can either just type in a URL, you can type in a question, you can type in something you want to actually search for, and you can reference tabs, you can reference other things, you can reference websites, you can get answers directly there. And to me, this is starting to break the barrier of the, like, instead of you, and I will say this, I've been using this now for like a week, and I have not opened ChatGPT since I started using this, because it's like, what's the point? I Command T, it's already got a chat window, I start typing, or I'm asking it questions directly about something that's happening in my browser, and it's all just there. So fundamentally, how I work has already changed in like the week that I've been using this browser. It is in beta. I have seen a couple of things that people who are Arc fans will like. I've seen on Twitter them saying that the sidebar is being implemented. So the sidebar navigation, I believe, will be coming back for people who are bitter and upset about that. Two, I think there's one major feature that I would love to see from this that does not exist, and that would be the ability to like truly interact with the page via the chat window. Let's say I have a spreadsheet. I would love to be able to say, make these modifications to the spreadsheet and have Dia do it, which it can't do right now. I do think that is something that they are working on, but I don't know for sure. Yeah.
What does it do? It's just a chat app that knows about your open tabs and can answer questions.
One of the cool things is that there is a default profile for you. How do you like to learn? What do you like to like? So for instance, if Dia knows that I learn primarily best through video, when I go to search and ask it for something like, let's say a question about a video game, and instead of like going to Google and searching for answers about this video game, Dia knows that I like to learn via video. So if I ask that question to Dia is going to give me links, but it's also going to give me YouTube videos directly in those results that are directly related to the thing that I'm asking about. So it's kind of like a mishmash of Perplexity with something like
a bit of memory.
ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and then being able to reference tabs. So there's a lot of little features that I haven't necessarily gotten deep into it, but like, yeah, you know, you're on a website, you have a question about some text, you can highlight that text and then ask the question directly in the browser, you know, with like one click. So I highlight some text, ask Dia about this, and then Dia will go off and it can do more research and it can find additional links. And yeah, it's not like revolutionarily different, but there's enough niceties in this thing that like it's already changing the way primarily that I'm browsing and interacting with the internet. Now, the one thing I don't understand about any of these new paradigm of browsers is what's the mobile. Everybody's using mobile. Like, why release a desktop browser as the main interface? This thing would rip on mobile. Why isn't this a mobile first browser? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's maybe they're going for like their audience, which is power users, to be their early access.
Yeah.
And then once they have product market fit, as they say, maybe they'll move into something that's a little bit more mobile.
Yeah. If you want to get more like use cases for this thing, their website has a number of like, here's all the different things you can do with it that are currently supported or whatever. But either way, a lot of people were wondering, why would you ever use something that the browser company made after what they did to you with Arc? They didn't do anything to me with Arc. They made a free browser, and then they sunset it. Like, okay, yes,
you can. People have the right to be pissed about that, you know. They pulled the rug on it, and people.
But
if you get really excited about a tool, no, but like we're also pissed at all the stuff Google sunsets, and I won't pay for most of that stuff as well. You know, like you hope that a company has your best interests in mind, and especially when you spend your time, you invest in a product. You know,
yes, you invest your time, but. Dia imported all my dang Arc settings and all my workspaces and all my logins, and like next thing you know, it's like, yeah, the UI is different and it's slightly different, but all of the stuff that I've accumulated in Arc is still here. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not that mad at it, especially because this browser is good. If this browser sucked, then maybe I'd be pissed about it. But it's good. So I don't know.
You gotta think OpenAI has got to put out a browser soon, because it makes so much sense to browse the web with the chat rather than the chat just give you some external links that you can click off to if you need them.
Yeah,
especially
this definitely verifies that to me, because like I said, I have not been opening ChatGPT. I've been using this.
Yeah, and especially that it can access stuff that's behind a login, like OpenAI. ChatGPT can't do that, and then like that's the whole promise of MCP servers. But
yeah,
surfing the web is the original MCP server, so it makes sense. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a rip. I'll give you an invite. It is
yes.
It has been one of those things that I have done a 180 on, from being like, well, I'm out on the browser company, to being like, well, they got it. Yeah, browser company has hands for sure.
Let's talk about like chat apps and things that you're paying for. So what are you paying for right now, and what do you, I guess you're reaching for Dia right now as your main chat app?
Yeah, I'm using Dia as my main chat app, but I do pay for ChatGPT, especially because that's what Courtney has gotten really used to using. So we just share a ChatGPT. I also do pay for Claude, but that's it. What about you?
I pay for Raycast. I was using Raycast as my like main chat app for probably over a year. But I have been pushing myself a little bit more to ChatGPT, because I really like the memory stuff that it has. So I was trying to translate some shirt sizes into like American sizes. And I just took a screenshot of it, and I was like, what should I do? And it's like, you're 5'10", 200 pounds. You probably should do this. And I was like, oh man, it knows that, you know? And I was like, that's kind of nice. So I like that. I like obviously the image generation stuff is really good. I've been paying for Midjourney for probably 3 years, but I think I'm at about a point where I'm going to cancel Midjourney because ChatGPT is just good enough. And the other thing about the Raycast is that the Raycast AI opens in its own like window, which is really nice. And you can go through it, but it doesn't have a desktop icon, or like there's something weird about it being a pop-up where I feel like I'm going to lose
weird.
it.
It's always been weird.
I can't describe what that feeling is. And the other thing is that like I have this nice Cobalt 2 blue theme for Raycast, but it's not a good theme for viewing text. And there's not a lot of control in a Raycast theme. So I switched it to white and black to see if it's a little bit more comfy, but I just feel a bit more comfy in ChatGPT, which it doesn't make sense because it's way cheaper to pay for Raycast. I think it's like $8 a month or something like that versus 20 for ChatGPT. So like you're saving quite a bit.
I have not used Raycast really ever for AI stuff. Like I like Raycast, but I primarily use it for window management, launcher, et cetera, those types of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good, especially like it's like time to answer is really fast. I know ChatGPT has a desktop app and you can set up a hotkey or whatever, but my hotkey for almost everything is Raycast. So it's kind of nice being able to do it because you just type in the box and hit tab. You don't even have to open I have caps lock A to go straight to the AI app, but you can also just ask something straight away in the Raycast prompt and hit tab, and it will fire it off there as well. So give it a shot.
Spending more time in Dia for that.
Yeah, that's true. And then I was on DeepSeek for a while because I felt like that at one time DeepSeek was like by far the best, and it was free, and like it was doing searching the web for a while. So every now and then I'll dip into DeepSeek and see how it is. But it's kind of funny how you're just bouncing all over the place trying new stuff. I don't think regular people are doing that though. I think regular people are probably just using ChatGPT and they don't really know about much more.
Totally. What about self-hosted stuff? I have dove into Comfy UI because specifically they have a desktop app now, which, man, running the Python thing was really tough for that. You know, Comfy UI is interesting because you're basically generating node workflows, but it is kind of a wild world of like connecting these things. Like if I want to generate an image of a computer programmer sitting at his desk or whatever, I have to then like research which models to use, all the stuff to use, and then I click go, and then I wait an hour, and then maybe something comes out. Maybe I wait 3 hours, and then something comes out, and maybe it sucks. So as far as like, I'm not doing anything on it. I am like, let's give this a rip to see how the hell this thing works. All right, I got it to produce this. Okay, and then that's it, pretty much for me.
Yeah, I've downloaded Comfy UI. I've downloaded all the models specifically for a lot of the stable diffusion stuff, which is anybody who has like one of these headshot generator startups. They're almost always using like stable diffusion, and like it's kind of a weird world. I realized very quickly that a large portion of the like self-hosted Comfy UI is just people making like inappropriate anime stuff.
It is. I joined the Comfy UI Reddit, and then I unjoined it about 10 seconds later. I was like, holy cow, these folks are
and those are the people doing stuff in public.
The rails here.
There's got to be way worse stuff happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. It's a
but
skeevy
Comfy
world,
UI does a very good job at. There's one plugin for it, which is like a face mod, which is you can take people's like basically. I wanted to like make YouTube thumbnails of myself, and I wanted to feed it a photo of my face and be able to generate a YouTube thumbnail. And this was before you could do this in ChatGPT. And in order to get the like face dupe stuff to work, you have to like, there's a couple hoops you need to jump through, and they're explicitly, they do not host ones that will do anything bad around adult stuff or child stuff and whatnot, which is good.
Yeah, I know that whole thing can be getting a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comfy UI, it's been pretty good. The one thing that kills me though is I run out of space on my computer so fast because these models are 20, 30 gigs, you got 2 or 3 of them. And then like we're streaming ourselves and recording ourselves. That's like 50 gigs for an hour or whatever. So I often when I'm like scrambling to free up space on my computer, I'll just delete those models. And now that I have super fast internet, I don't mind having to re-download them.
For me, here's what I found. I have a Mac Mini back there. I just throw that shit on there because like what else do I have on Mac Mini? I have my Plex server. So, and then I don't have to bog down my actual machine. But I haven't tried to do any video. I would imagine that would cause my entire computer to blow up. Yeah,
you got to have a serious machine to be able to run this stuff at any. I think where this stuff is really big is someone who is generating lots of content, but they don't necessarily care about how long it takes. So some like garbage Etsy seller is making 20,000 tumblers of like whales shaking hands with bears that say dads are the best if their name is Bert, and then there's just like every possible permutation sublimated on a crappy Tumblr, put it on Etsy.
Yeah.
Those people are using these to just generate absolutely every single combination there.
Yeah. That would be wild to be using this stuff for anything other than just, all right, that works. Cool.
Yeah. I think it will probably get better. But also like running local models is getting better. It is getting faster. Even like in the browser, I had a whole talk on it, especially with Web GPU now. Yeah. But some of these really big ones are a bit of a resource hog.
Yeah, for sure.
Alongside Comfy UI, there's Automatic1111 and Forge UI. Those are sort of alternatives as well. Seemingly like competitors or similar tools to LangFlow. I have only dipped into Automatic1111 and Comfy UI, so I'm going to have to give these other ones a good shake as well.
Is this Automatic primarily based around image generation? It does say Stable Diffusion Web UI. Yeah,
if you've ever used like Hugging Face or anything like that, it's kind of a similar, it might even be the same.
Yeah, Hugging Face. Yeah.
The same interface of it as well. But yeah, if you want to be able to use Stable Diffusion to make like Lego version of yourself or whatever, it's probably not so much anymore, but it was a very good business to fire up these like turn your child's photos into a coloring book. For $6 or things like that. There was or headshots or all of these different things. Touch up your face for dating profile images.
I do think that the image generation stuff is probably like the least exciting thing for me because it creeps me out, like the fact that people are getting fooled on all kinds of stuff these days, and it's just like it's a little like not the thing I'm most interested in, which is why LangFlow is interesting to me because it's much more like productivity based, which I'm a productivity fan. By the way, speaking of Hugging Face, I met our homie Zenova, Joshua Lochner at JS Nation. What a just wonderful dude. He had a great talk and just a super cool guy. So I got to interview him on stage even.
Oh, really? He's the author of Transformers JS, which allows you to run local AI models in JavaScript, so in the browser or in Node, things like that. And he sent me a photo of you guys, and I was like, "Whoa, cool. Face reveal!" Because like when he came on the podcast, he was not comfortable even showing his face. I'm like, he said he's speaking at that conference, I was like, that's for sure remote. There's no chance he's going to do a face reveal, but he did.
What a cool guy. So yeah, shout out to Joshua. Yeah, cool. Well, that's all I got. Folks, what kind of AI tools are you out there using that we didn't mention, coding or otherwise? I know we just did a coding tool, agent show and stuff. So, but I want to know what kind of stuff specifically you were using, because let's face it, this is like, have you ever seen one of those images on Twitter that's just like, here are the 20,000 new AI tools, and you're just like, I don't have time to look at all these.
Freaking
so
hate those guys. Yeah, no, these are ones that you probably want to check out. But let us know if we missed any.
Okay, now it's time for the part of the show where we do sick picks and shameless plugs. I got a sick pick, and it's a kids card game. My kids got this while I was in Amsterdam, and I think it was just so they would have something to do while I was away. And it is the The game is called Rat-a-Tat-Cat, and it's kind of an educational game, but man, our kids love Sleeping Queens and a lot of these card games that they've been playing. And this game you can get for like $12. It's a card game. It was super easy to pick up. Again, my kids are like 6 and 8, but I think they probably could have played this at 5 and 7. No problem, maybe even younger. It's kind of, you got like a memory game. There's some math involved. And my daughter, who is 6, like cannot stop playing this game. She wants to play it every night. And it's quick enough where you can rattle off a game in about 5 minutes if you want. You can play a whole bunch of rounds. And that way, you know, if somebody, like I lost every game the other night, but I know my kids can get a little upset if they've gone through several games and haven't won once. So the fact that you can play enough games that eventually somebody probably different will win is it's nice. But a nice little card game for kids. Yeah, you can get it for $12 on Amazon. It's really, really nice.
Sick. I'm going to pick our hats, which is kind of a shameless plug as well. But by the time you're listening to this, you should. So we got the syntax one right here, right? Then we got the internet one, which currently sold out, but we got a whole bunch more on the way. By the time you're watching this, there probably are back in the shop. And then we also got the syntax felt ones. And like, let me tell you, these are high quality hats. This is not just a floppy hat that someone embroidered and then like it's like a crappy swag item. These are like hats that you're actually going to wear. These are high quality hats. Look, it's all custom. Look at that. Syntax tape inside, custom tags. There's a spelling mistake on the tag because I forgot to fix it. All kinds of really good stuff. So if you want a nice hat, check out what's the URL of our store there, Scott?
Sentry.shop.
Sentry.shop, and click on the syntax collection, and Sentry's actually got some pretty sick t-shirts. I wore my dead click t-shirt yesterday, and my daughter was asking what a dead click was, and I was like, well, you know, on your iPad, when you click on something and it doesn't nothing happens after a little while, she's like, yeah, I hate that. I'm like, that's a dead click. And then I was like trying to explain that there's also rage clicks when you tap it multiple times, and she's like, oh, I'm like, that Sentry will fix that, or at least show you what happened and she's like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So check it out.
Check it out. Love this. Love it. I wore my syntax hat all day, every day in Amsterdam. So I don't know about you. When I go traveling, it's hat time for me. Although it has often been hat time for me very frequently. Hat time for me, definitely traveling. Don't have to deal with a bunch of stuff. Cool. Well, thank you so much for listening and hanging around with us. We will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.